I was like, oh, I want to learn everything that every doctor knows. At the same time, I also wanted to learn how to manage people, and I always found it fascinating to teach people how to do things. You know what I mean? And so that's sort of just been my passion all the way up. As I've gone through each practice, you have different leaders, and I've learned from their mistakes, and I've also learned from their successes, and kind of always felt like I was missing. I always wanted to be the leader that I always needed.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode. Hey guys, I have a really fun guest with us today. We have Jamie Gonzalez, who is a CVPM. She's the first of her kind on the show. So I'm really, really excited. And we have some really great connections through Dr. Steve Weinberg's practice, which I'll tell you guys about a little bit more. Steve Weinberg is the vet who had his own episode. I think it was episode number 2. And who wrote, recorded, and performed the podcast music of this very podcast. So we'll get into that in just a minute. So Jamie was born and raised in Maryland. With her love of learning and animals, she began her career in 2002 as a kennel assistant. Because of her enthusiasm, her drive, and ability to grasp new concepts, Jamie was swiftly moved into a veterinary technician role that also included team management, inventory management, and various leadership responsibilities. She is passionate about learning, organization, and leadership. And over her career, she's gained experience working in a variety of general practices, emergency and specialty centers, and with various exotic animals. She's always been fascinated by the constantly changing industry, I'll say, faces challenges with a positive outlook. One of her favorite roles in veterinary medicine has been inventory management. Super cool. In 2017, Jamie decided she wanted to pursue a career path that would leverage her 18 years of animal health industry experience. She began her journey to pursue an MBA through Strayer University, which she hopes to obtain by 2023. In addition, after a 3-year commitment, Jamie's obtained her Certified Veterinary Practice Manager, CVPM certification in January 2021. Over the years, Jamie has had a variety of pets ranging from bearded dragons, iguanas, I had an iguana too, fish, her 4 beloved feline companions who will be remembered always, as well as dogs. And personally, she enjoys kayaking, hiking, traveling, a variety of crafts, and spending time with her family. You're awesome, Jamie. Welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you here. We've been trying to plan this podcast for ages now.
I know.
We finally made it happen.
It's in the way of the plan, but
Yeah, it's all good. We worked it out. So first of all, I wanted to start out the episode by asking, what's your favorite snack to eat in the car? So I know you do a lot of traveling. As a CVPM, you're not doing like the house calls per se, but I know you come to LA to meet with the team and you're doing a ton of traveling. So what about like any travel snacks?
I love anything soft and fruity. So, like, usually, I don't know, like those got you like Starbucks, like chewy treats, the little tiny ones. Those are like my favorite.
Okay.
I kind of just feel like I need those little like sugar rushes, like traveling.
Yeah, like the little packet of sugar. Starburst, you said?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Starbursts are like my favorite. Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor of Starburst?
I'm usually pink or red.
Yeah. Yep. The pink is by far the best, in my opinion.
Cherry, pretty much cherry is like my favorite in anything. Luckily, Starburst has like the, I don't know, like the berries or whatever bag only. So it's just pink and red.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I haven't had a Starburst for many, many years. So good to be updated on that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Can you tell me a little bit about how you became the practice manager of a house call practice and what your journey was like?
Yeah. So I'm actually the chief operations officer now.
Ooh,
So
congratulations. I'm proud
kind
of
of
him.
my way up from management. And it's funny because I actually came on board with private pet care last year on an emergency contract business. My friend Paul, who I used to work with in Tennessee, called me and he was like, "Hey, I need your help and expertise. Willing to pay you like part time, to help me get this set up." But they went live with the practice management software, and the person that was like setting it up apparently like didn't set it up. So the day they went live, they didn't have like prices or codes, and the system wasn't working. And so, overnight I learned a brand new practice management software and set everything up for him. And then interviewed with Steve later on in October when he was like, "I really need someone to come on board. He has experience. He can do some like talent acquisition." That interview was really fun because he had like this Space Kitty like t-shirt on, out in Germany over Zoom. And I was like, "Oh, people that I want to work for, like Paul and I go way back." And he was just like full of love and compassion. And I was like, "Yeah, you're the person like I would love to work for."
Yeah. And
Um,
he had pancreatic cancer at that time. And so he was, just to
he
kind of
did.
clarify for folks who are listening, he was, well, maybe you tell the story actually.
So he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer around November of 2020. Valiant fight. I mean, he was so optimistic through the whole thing. He was gonna beat it. He was super optimistic. He was out in Germany getting, like the best treatment he possibly could, like the best doctors. But he was, traveling a lot last year, but still compassionate as can be and like, "Hey, we're moving forward. This is what I want to do with the company. I need your help with my vision. Welcome to the team. Come help me out." So I flew out there, just started to see what everything was about and kind of realized he needed a little help with, like marketing and some of the things that he hadn't done before. And that's when I went from being like talent person, the inventory person, to being like an HR person. And then after he had passed away, Cole had promoted me into the operation, which is where I feel like I'm really, really good at being able to kind of just keep the company going and, that sort of thing. So it's been quite a journey with that and, 20 years in the making, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how you ended up in house call practice. And what a cool way to take your skills and your experience and your training and really do something amazing.
Yeah. Definitely unique. I actually really like it.
Yeah.
It's stressful in its own way, but it's, like, way less stressful than working in clinic setting, especially for, like, these corporate practices.
Yeah.
I was getting run ragged, because I was still packing because we were always shorthanded, and then it was like you couldn't say no to any appointment. Like 30 people waiting in your waiting room. No staff to help you with that. You're got 2 veterinarians on staff who are just, like, completely drained. It was just, like, the passion was just kind of, gone from a lot of people.
Totally.
So, switching over to mobile, it's kind of like a beautiful process because I feel like people now have, like, the love back in what they love to do, and they can still do it? It's been really, really awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that you're getting a chance to see the magic of house call practice and it's just like the exact opposite of the burnout in the clinic and the corporates and, just the loss of the passion and compassion and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, going back a little bit to Steve and getting to know him, and I loved your description of him in the t-shirt he was wearing and like the minute I mean, he was another, colleague of mine for folks who didn't hear our second episode and kind of the greater story behind all of this. But so Privet is sort of the legacy practice of Steve. So his practice was originally in Los Angeles. Like we were just house called vet colleagues in the same area, and his practice was called 911 Vets, and it was a mobile urgent care and emergency service that was sort of transitioned to concierge house call service. And kind of towards the end of his life, he was trying to make provisions for how the practice would live on and be his legacy. And it rebranded to Private shortly before he passed away as well. And so it's kind of like the reincarnation of Dr. Steve Weinberg's legacy practice. And so we'd actually just kind of revisiting some of that before he passed away. He recorded the music for this podcast and he was really excited to be on the show and he was really excited about sponsoring the show too. And he passed away before we had the chance to do that. So, oh God, I'm going to cry. So you guys have kind of honored his memory and his wishes by continuing to sponsor the podcast as the practice developed, and it's shaped into this new and beautiful new practice. And it has like the soul of Steve in it, but it also has a new life. Like it's really it's been just so joyous for me to watch you guys develop, and your medical director Adam, and I just love watching you guys develop this and make it your own. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's been like reimagining a practice with such a powerful legacy?
She was definitely one of a kind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as Adam has said before, Dr. Davis, our veterinarians know that they have some pretty big shoes to fill when it comes to field servicing like his legacy clients and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
clients have like the best stories and they absolutely like adored him.
Yeah.
And so, we're focused on trying to continue to provide that level of care. His biggest passion was for protecting like the human, animal bond. And that is certainly shared by like every single member of our team. It's something that we're definitely focused on continuing with. Met Dr. Davis, he's wonderful,
He's like,
same big heart, same compassion, he's really driven to carrying on Steve's legacy the best way that, we can, as well as kind of like developing, our little niche for things. I'm pretty excited to be working with him and we're working hard. Steve's memories on all of our vehicles, so he travels with us everywhere we go.
I love that.
And, like we send like an email blast. We always make sure to like mention something about him as well, too. His memory never fades and his clients, know that we're still truly trying to kind of carry on and move forward, but never forget where our, foundation came from.
Yeah. Oh my God, I have chills. Oh God, I'm trying not to
Uh,
cry.
yeah. It's a pretty magical thing, when you think about it and look at it.
It's
We definitely have trouble like any business does for sure. But, we know what our core like values and mission is, and that's what we always, keep in focus. And every team member we bring on, we want them to share the same passion and stuff that we do. And awesome that you have like Steve on, video and stuff too, because like
yeah.
we want people to like see him and kind of how he was.
Yeah, yeah, it's so amazing. I was like, "Holy shit, oh my God, I actually have a recording of him that I could put on the podcast." So I'm like, "You can be on the podcast, Steve." Uh,
I
I was
hope
like,
he's looking down at us like smiling. And, I'm sure he laughs at it sometimes. We're like fumbling through some things, but I think he would be proud for sure.
"Yeah, I'm officially crying now."
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Jamie's seen me cry like 100 times by now, but
Yeah. A good friend for sure. And
yeah, he was amazing. And he hadn't met Adam actually at the time, right?
no, I think he just had conversations through, call and stuff.
Mhm.
And, we'd had conversations with him about, Dr. D was coming on board, which he was really excited, bringing on members that shared the same vision he did.
Yeah.
But
Steve would have fucking adored Adam. Like, I just
would have,
can't imagine.
would have,
Would've
like, I'm
smoked.
sure they would have gotten beers like after work often. And
Oh, yeah. Smoked
yeah,
weed.
great conversation. We've had big ideas, and we're really trying to continue with those too, because he and I had talked about like wanting to work a little bit more like the rescues and stuff. Because we're definitely a health call concierge, and of course, it does cost more for that.
Mhm.
But it does help balance that out. he was like, I really want to work with, rescues, and I really want to work with, these locations. And Dr. Davis has actually brought with him some great relationships that I feel like would have made Steve, really happy and super
Oh,
proud. But work with a couple different groups now.
that's
Dr. Davis is out
amazing.
there all the time. Yeah.
I'm such a fan of what you guys are doing and finding that balance. One of the issues about being a concierge practice that I think about and teach about actually a little bit is that, when you're a concierge practice, you're pretty much orienting around the wealthy. It's a pricey service, like more so than just run of the mill house call practice. And I think for me to be able to sit with myself and say, I only serve the rich, I think there's something uncomfortable about that. And I don't know, it doesn't sit right with my ethics. And so for me, the balance to that is that I have a sliding scale component for folks who can't afford that. And so there's these two sides of kind of my practice, and I love how it's that way with yours, like you bring in the big bucks with your concierge service as you should, and that price is completely warranted. And you also give and you work with the less fortunate or the folks of less means and the animals of less means, and you give back in certain ways. And I think I've said this before that you're monetizing your value as a concierge vet service is probably what allows you to do some of the more kind of charitable work and some of the less
Mhm.
lucrative work out of just the right place, right? Just coming from the heart, just the compassion and just knowing that we're doing what we all want to do. We just want to help and that's it, right? So I love that you guys are doing that, and I'm very like-minded when it comes to having that sort of balance about who we're serving and who we're caring for. So
It-
props
Yeah.
on
Balance is a plus for sure.
it sure is. So you're a really interesting guest on the show because you are a CVPM and you're the person who inspired me to become a CVPM myself. I'm like so inspired by what you do and your skills and your knowledge and just like how your brain can like figure out what the hell to do with every aspect of a business. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be that. um,
You
can you tell me how you got started with that and what does it mean to be a CVPM to you?
I started out again, just at 14 and had always had some sort of hand in different, like, various management. I never got paid more for it, but I was always at your responsibility, like, $4.25 an hour
Oh my
when
God.
I was 14.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know
insane.
any time in my history of life that would have been legal.
I mean, at the time that was minimum wage. I was, still in school, so I would go after work, and work, and then, like, I worked my way up, and as a veterinary technician, like, you don't get to earn a lot of money, like, it definitely wasn't it was more of just, like, the passion, and you kinda just live paycheck to paycheck, and you made it work, but I had always found it fascinating from, like it worked with one vet initially, and then she never went on vacation with. She went on vacation one time and brought in a relief vet, and, like, that relief vet, super sweet and honest, but, like, she did everything so differently, and that's where my spark was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," like, they're not all the same. There are so many different ways to do things, and that's when I, like, branched off and I was like, I wanna work emergencies. So I did emergency on the weekend, I worked part-time at 2 different, like, general practices. Like, I was like, "Oh, I wanna learn everything that every doctor knows." At the same time, I also wanted to learn how to, like, manage people, and I always found it fascinating to, like, teach people how to do things, you know what I mean? And so that's sort of just been, like, my passion all the way up. As I've gone through each practice, you have different leaders, and I've learned from their mistakes, and I've also learned from, like, their successes, and always felt like I was missing. I always wanted to be the leader that, like, I always needed going through these practices, and corporates were sort of probably the worst case scenario because a lot of the higher up leaders had 0 veterinary experience. So I'm, working for an emergency, hospital in Pittsburgh. Their administrator, 0 emergency experience, and trying to explain to her, like, why we need equipment for, our ER room or, how to monitor these patients that are coming in, cat calls and stuff. And it was like, oh no, I don't really understand what you're saying essentially. So, like, really can't help here. So then, Paul is who I met. He was my hospital administrator when I moved to Tennessee, and I worked in a 24-hour emergency specialty center there. was their veterinary technician, surgery person, also did their inventory management, and then I helped out in HR a lot. I kind of became his practice manager, and he is a CVPM. So it was the first CVPM I'd ever met. Didn't even know it was a thing. He also has an MBA. And I just remember like going up to his office one day and being like, how do I become you? Like,
Aw.
I want these bigger roles. I feel like I've learned everything as a veterinary technician in the last 18 years that I possibly could. And I feel like my passion now and where I could be of most use is managing the people that are providing the care. You know what I mean? So, he was like, get your CVPM and go to school and get your bachelor's or your master's. So like immediately I enrolled. So I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's this winter. And then the CVPM, as it's a career thing. You need experience and a lot of studying, a lot of reading. But I learned so much taking that program. Like I learned a lot of stuff on the job, but now I feel a lot more confident, a lot more knowledgeable to be able to effectively manage practice.
Yeah, you're a real, badass. Like, I've heard you say, "I'm a bulldog" to your people. I was like, I love that. Like, you know about law, about business, about marketing, about finance, all of that stuff. You do the taxes, you do like, all of it. Like, you're just like the whole package, like, complete badass. So, congrats on that. It's like you were meant to be a CVPM. It's just, like, so cool seeing
I sort of feel the same way now too. I was like, I think this is what I was meant to do. And like, I
Yeah,
love the operational side of things. You know what I mean? Like, I absolutely love it. Like, it's a
yeah.
challenge, and I love the challenge. You know,
Yeah, you're so
But
good at it too. You really have the right mentality and the right temperament and everything. It's just great.
for us, I feel like just kind of touching back on like the whole veterinary technician, like I didn't earn a lot in the way of a veterinary technician for like many, many years. Because most states don't require that you have education. It's all training on the job, which I got phenomenal on the job training. But everything I've always encouraged all of like my technicians and my managers to do is to get educated because the education puts the value on us. And that's how we can like earn more money before we can comfortably live. You know what I mean? So living paycheck to paycheck. Like I've watched so many people thought, or even like veterinarians coming right out of school, like you've got all these student loans and a lot of places don't want to pay you a high salary yet. You know what I mean? So you've got like experience under your belt. But I'm like, the more education and stuff that you can get, the higher we can raise those salaries. And so I encourage everyone, you know.
That's excellent advice. I'm very much of the same mindset. I mean, I think in a profession like this, let alone just living our best life, like we need to always be learning and growing. And, of course, a credential is going to make you worth more. Absolutely. And I think in our profession particularly, it's really meaningful to have that when we have to fight every day to earn our worth and
Yeah.
to earn a living and not be living paycheck to paycheck, like you said. I very, very much agree with that. And that kind of growth mindset, I'm a huge fan of that. And just on the path to learning, lifelong learning, I think is so, so important, particularly in our profession.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you tell me about any challenges you've faced stepping into that CBPM role for private pet care?
So, I mean,
Don't
actually,
share anything like that. That does, that's secret, you know?
yeah, not anything secret. It's just, Steve was a one man show for quite some time. Compliance really wasn't his favorite thing. Definitely had his regulatory stuff, like, all of that. But like, company really just needed some like streamlined like organization, like it needed up to date like employee handbook and compliance and controlled substances and like all these big things that, if you've never witnessed anyone go through that, like you really don't think a lot about it. But like I've been in so many practices had, it's usually disgruntled employee, you know what I mean? Like they'll make a complaint and then you've got people coming in, going through all your stuff, going through all your books, and some practices get closed down because the fees are so much that they can't afford to pay them. Like, especially if you're like the DEA. So whenever I came on board, like this was kind of what I wanted. I was like, oh yeah, like I get to help like build this company and kind of, do things, but not by the book, but
Like
clinical
compliance.
planning,
Yeah.
regulatory, and that's sort of why like I kind of moved up in those roles really quickly. It's because like I've already built a lot of this stuff over the years, and so it's really just like remastering it to private pet care and like focusing on like what we are. But this is my first like chief operations officer role, and so like that obviously comes with its own challenges because it is new to me. it contains a lot of the stuff that I already know how to do, but I'm also learning every day new stuff that we need, which is fascinating and awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's always challenging stepping up into a role, and especially a title that you've like never had before. But I don't know, like I just hit the ground running and I was like, I got this, like I will research, I call people all the time and I'm like, hey, I need help with this, walk me through this.
Wonderful. What does it mean to be a CFO?
Well, for me, it's just I feel like, I mean, aside from our veterinarian, especially Dr. David, who's out there earning the money, providing the care, like on this end of things, there are so many aspects to keeping this company running smoothly and making sure that like the health, financial well-being of our company is there too, because we do want to be able to provide a good, work-life balance salary to our employees. They can't afford to live, can enjoy life, and they can still enjoy their profession. So it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of like strategic, planning and paying bills and reaching out to people, being like, hey, I think I can get a better deal. Like, what can you do for me? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, but that's kind of my focus now. Like even like your payments. We were losing thousands of dollars on fees that we were paying. And so we kind of switched to companies who like they've passed those fees along. They're still reasonable for our clients, but we also give like a cash discount option. So now we have like an electronic check capability, which is super
Great.
cool. Just a lot of different like aspects of just making sure your business is running as healthy as it possibly can be.
Love it. And some of this stuff is so fun. It's like a game, right? It's like how do we maximize this? How do we get this more
Yeah.
profitable? How do we make it livable and good and enjoyable and
Yep.
sustainable for employees? And love that.
But it's a lot of talking to people, which is awesome because you get to learn so much more, But I do a lot of like demos, I talk to a lot of different companies and I've learned a lot that way. And I feel like we've been able to get like some of the really best deals we possibly could for the company just by being like, hey, can we have a conversation about this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's really, really important, I think, for folks to know that, you can sometimes get a better rate than what is advertised, right?
Possibly just ask, if you don't know, if you don't ask. And a lot of people are really willing to help small businesses out.
Mhm. Mhm. Can you talk to me a little bit about the difference between independently owned house call practice and corporate house call practice? I'm curious if you have any thoughts about that. We've talked a little bit about it together.
Yeah. So I hate to say we're a corporation because of our actual title. But, like, I don't feel like we're a corporation at all. Like, I feel a corporation, like, all these mobile vendors coming out there, like, buying things, they're not I don't feel like they share the same vision, compassion, and it's very just, like, an assembly line, you know what I mean? Uh,
Absolutely.
and the owners of this company, they're not veterinarians. They don't come from the veterinary industry.
Right.
I've had people reach out to me to try and recruit me from them, and I'm like, "Can you tell me about your company and your founders and your owners?" I'm like, "Okay, well, why are you buying a veterinary company if you have no veterinary knowledge?" You know what I mean? Like, we're
Right.
such a unique and different industry that if you don't have knowledge on that level, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're exactly gonna be
Exactly.
miserable eventually. You're not gonna be providing the same care that, like, we provide as independent,
Mhm.
I don't know, I feel like there's just so much more you can do in independent than you can corporate. It's, like, very cookie cutter, you're only allowed to do that. It has to be done this way, whereas for us, like, Dr. Davis runs his day very differently than Dr. Levan does, and that's okay.
Yeah.
My job is like, "Hey, whatever works for you to make your day run smoothly and efficiently, like, let's make that work for you." So they're complete opposites of each other, which is fascinating.
It really is.
Good. But I love that about like because you can still practice independently. We just provide support on a different level. Like we, have dispatchers that, answer the phone calls and stuff like that. Our doctors and physicians don't necessarily have to do that. And obviously you have someone like me who kind of helps like do all the financials and compliance stuff so that our doctors and technicians can really just focus on providing medical care and not have to like worry about all the extra.
Fantastic. I love it. Yeah, I love the freedom that you guys give to your vets, and I think it's really fascinating seeing how Dr. Levan and Dr. Davis are allowed to, do them, do things
Yeah.
their way, and I think that's what it's all about in house call practice, so I love that, and proud of you guys. I love seeing you guys grow and develop into, the awesome practice that you guys are. Can you share your top 3 tips on managing a house call vet practice?
Man, there's so many.
I know.
So the biggest thing for me, just as a leader, is collaboration. And I know for maybe a lot of independents, you don't maybe have like a huge team, but like constant collaboration with your team, especially for like us, super important and like on all levels. Like I constantly check in with like our dispatchers and our technicians and our doctors and just make sure like we're talking about things, we're talking through issues like together. It's not just like one person making a decision and being like, here it is. It's just like, hey guys, what are you noticing? What suggestions do you have? And it just kind of makes them feel more empowered and more inclusive. So that's like my first thing. And then compliance. Just your great compliance, especially with your controlled substances, because like you do not want to get hit by the DEA at all. So just make sure we're keeping up with like regulatory items. And then just like we mentioned earlier, don't be afraid to ask for better deals. They're out there. People are willing to help you as a small business. I've gotten a lot of really good deals, talked to a lot of great people who are willing to help us, but just ask, you know what I mean? Like that's probably what I would say are my top three.
Yeah, those are great. Those are awesome. Yeah. For anyone out there listening, listen to that. Those are great, great tips. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you or private pet care before we close up shop here in a minute or two?
We're always looking for relief doctors.
All right. So you guys are hiring?
We are hiring. We're definitely looking, if we can find another full-time relief, in Los Angeles or even the San Pedro area, we would love to have someone come on board that shares in the same vision and is still looking, to get out of that brick and mortar where they're just stressed out, burned out. Their passion for the veterinary industry might be, gone. Like I've had people being like, I'm going into like, human medicine or something completely different, but their passion's really animals. And so Dr. Davis is really focused on looking for veterinarians. He can create a better work-life balance for them, help them get the love back that they came into the profession for. Our technicians and support too. Our techs and dispatchers get running the ground like crazy at these, freaking orders now. So yeah, so we're always looking for people.
Awesome. And yeah, we will have Adam Davis on the show coming up soon. We just have to get that on the books.
It's excited.
Yeah. So for anyone that is interested in working for a really awesome house call practice in Southern California, I wholeheartedly endorse private pet care. Buddies, and I think you'll be well taken care of there with this awesome team. So in summary, since we are in the House Call Vet Cafe, what is your favorite beverage?
So I am a Starbucks fan, and
Okay.
my go-to is always the caramel macchiato.
Those are delicious.
Yes, they are. They're my favorite.
Very nice. All right, Jamie, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of what Private is becoming, and you guys are doing amazing. Keep rocking, and I'll talk to you soon.
We're really proud of you too.
Thank you.
The full like house call thing, like for Dr. Davis. I mean, it's been like fascinating. He loves what you're doing, and we love what you're doing and all the support and advice that you have to. And I'm wish you all the best of luck in your CVPM test.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as The House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for house call vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.
If you're looking for help with ultrasound scanning, check out First Opinion Veterinary Ultrasound for independent machine reviews and online and in-person teaching options. FOVU, simplifying ultrasound.